Good morning. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Ugh. Eagles Nation. Morning. Buonadilla. Happy Monday. Yeah, Tesla's showing some strength again. This AI stock, I was eyeing this thing back at like 12, man. And I did have some plays on it, but I just didn't really trust it. This thing hurts me a little bit. I was sort of watching it down here as it was getting volume. That thing's been crazy. That and Tesla. Oh, Meta's actually green this morning as well. Huh. What's Meta doing? Yeah, Meta's green as well. Tesla, Spotify, AI, Meta are all green this morning. Outperformance on those. Morning. All right. We'll get started here in a second. Netherlands. And get the charts up. All right, so hope everyone had a good weekend. If you did, good. If you didn't, sorry, but I hope you had a good weekend. Feels good to be back. Back to business, back to some trading. I think some pretty clear things that went on last week. Clear supply rejections on the ES up there at 4,200. That was very clear. NASDAQ 13,000 area. So I think last week made a lot of sense. We played that upside into it. We got conservative looking for longs at the 4,200. I think we played it right. Live streams, I think the game plans every morning on the live streams are pretty spot on. So I'm really happy with how last week went. Good tradings, good trades, good opportunities, nice downside off that 4,200. And we talked about, and if you guys watched my video last night, which I hope you did, last night, we talked about how we needed to retest this 4,100 level on the ES, and that is exactly what we're doing this morning. So this is an interesting move, right? We're getting that downside this morning into that retest level. By no means does this downside this morning mean that we're going to continue lower, right? We have to watch out for the support that steps in around this 4,100 area. So this is definitely a day that we have to be as unbiased as possible. We have to really trust the levels because going short here at 4,100, which we'll talk about in today's video, could be disastrous, right? This could still be a retest hold on the market. So we got to watch this 4,100 level today. That's very major. That's the number one thing I'm watching today. So we'll talk a little bit about that here. Some individual stock setups, earnings, economic calendar, and we'll do our best to prepare for the morning, all right? So let's first start with, as we always do, the earnings and the economic calendar. All right, so here it is. Let's pull that up. Here we go. So today, none scheduled, right? Yeah, dollar also up. We'll talk about that. Dollar being up. Yeah, that is in our plan today. So today, Monday, February 6th, nothing. All right. So not bad. I like that. I like when I see none scheduled. That makes me feel like it might be a nice clean day. No economic news. So we'll see what happens. Today, none scheduled. Tomorrow, we do have Jerome Powell speaking at the Economic Club of Washington, 12:40 tomorrow. So that by this time you should be done trading. I don't know why these shoes are here. I should get some new shoes. I'm done trading by this time anyway, but we'll see if there's anything that moves around this 12:40 time on the economic calendar. Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow at 12:40. Fed Vice Chair Michael Barr speaking at 2, consumer credit at 3. So some late day stuff tomorrow. Some Fed president speaking. We'll see how the market moves there. Or on Wednesday, more Fed president speaking. It looks like it's a Fed president speaking week, right? Wednesday is all Fed presidents. John Williams, Lisa Cook, Michael Barr again, Fed President Neil Kashkari. I don't even know who that is. And then Fed Governor Christopher Waller. So it looks like all Fed presidents on Wednesday. It looks like one of those weeks, so we'll watch out for that. We'll see. I don't really know how that really will affect much, but at least keep an eye on that. Jobless claims Thursday, and then inflation expectations, consumer sentiment on Friday. So pretty light. Obviously, last week we got the big stuff. So pretty light on the economic news this week. Some Fed president speaking. I think the only one to maybe pay attention to is, we know whenever Jerome Powell opens his mouth, we got to be careful. So tomorrow at 12:40, keep an eye on that. All right. That's really it on the economic. We'll pull up the earnings calendar. Shout out Breadman for always posting this. Let's pull that up here. So here's this week's economic or earnings calendar. Today, after hours, we have Pinterest, Activision. Nothing really major there, but we can keep an eye on that. Before open tomorrow, Royal Caribbean, BP, Hertz, my old company. After close tomorrow, Enphase. That should be an interesting one, right? Interesting one here on Enphase. That's something that's been, talked about a lot lately, how strong that thing's been. Enphase, Chipotle. That's about it. Wednesday, Uber, CVS, Yum Brands, nothing crazy. Wednesday after close, Disney's a big one. Keep an eye on that. Disney will move other streaming services. So let's say, for example, Netflix. Disney might potentially move Netflix. So you'll have to keep an eye on that. Disney earnings there. Affirm, Robinhood, MGM, PepsiCo, AbbVie. AbbVie's an interesting one. PayPal is an interesting one. Lyft for Uber. Uber is here. Lyft is here. So it's like some of those, side companies starting to report. The big tech stuff came out last week, but you're starting to get some of these smaller names reporting. So nothing that I'm going to really be interested in playing or doing. I barely trade any of these stocks on a daily basis. So not much. Really, all I'll be doing here is just making sure I'm aware of potential sympathy moves, right? So if I'm trading Netflix, right, then I have to make sure I watch out for Disney. If I'm trading, I don't know, if I'm trading, which I wouldn't be trading, but if I'm trading some type of, let's say, Snapchat, like Pinterest will move Snapchat, or Pinterest will move other ad revenue companies. So Pinterest could move like Google or something like that, which I don't really think it should, but it will because of the ad revenue and because of the sympathy moves. So that's what I would be watching. AbbVie's a big one for healthcare this week as well, but nothing crazy on the earnings side. All right, so we got our economic and our earnings out of the way. Let's get into the schedule for today. Tesla 180 retest. I really want to see this Tesla retest of 180. Until it retests that 180, I'm going to be real careful trading Tesla. So I'm going to show you guys what I want to see on Tesla before getting aggressive on it. Amazon under 105. I think this is a pretty nice one today. Amazon popped over a very key rejection point before earnings and then fell under it after earnings. So we are back below a pretty key rejection point on Amazon. I think this is something to watch. AMD back under 85, I think, is something to watch. NVIDIA moving up into that major supply on the daily chart. I talked about this one yesterday. We'll talk about it again today in the live stream. Netflix 370 level and Meta 180 level are also two that I want to point out in today's video or today's live stream. Finally, we got to pay attention to this dollar breakout. The dollar had a huge move on Friday, broke above a key supply, and it's potentially going to cause weakness on the market. So we got to pay attention to this dollar today. If the dollar pulls back into the downside, you could see equities hold up, but we'll definitely want to be watching the dollar today. A big move on it Friday. And last night, actually, as well, overnight. All right, so let's get started. ES, right? We all know 4,200 was the level that we couldn't get above, right? You guys can see right here. We were talking about 4,200 all last week. We were saying, watch out. Don't go long in the 42, right? A lot of people, even in the Discord, we were saying, hey, guys, like, you might want to swing trade. Some people get interested in swing trading longs just because of the recent strength, but we just can't swing trade longs or move longs into 4,200. It just doesn't make sense. And so I think that was a great plan, right? You can clearly see the rejections off 42. You do not want to be going long into this level. It just doesn't make sense. So you can see you have previous support, rejections, and it did come in again. So very nice rejection at 4,200. That was pretty damn obvious, right? It didn't take much to understand, hey, I probably should be careful up here. You can clearly see it here on Thursday, and you can clearly see what happened here on Friday. It's a very clear and obvious supply rejection, and this is something that needs to be paid attention to. You do not want to be getting aggressive on the longs up at this level, right? So make sure you know that. Now, yesterday on the video that I made, I talked about how I wanted to see the retest of 4,100. I think the retest of 4,100 could be the move we needed to maybe get another upside move. So you guys can see today, we are right there. We have pulled back. We have moved back to the 4,100, the previous highs here, and we are now holding it as support. So today, I would, now that you have a pre-market downside move, right, this might cause people to get a little aggressive on the short side this morning. All right, this may make you think, hey, maybe I can try to play some downside, but I do not think it is smart to play downside into this area. I would not be getting too aggressive on the downside into this zone. Anywhere between 40.90 and 41.06, 41.05. I don't think it's smart to be getting too aggressive to the downside in here. You have previous highs here. You have a previous double top here. And I think you're going to want to see the move below this level, a rejection of this level before getting aggressive for more downside. So yes, if we were trading up here this morning, right, if we were sort of trading up in this area, I would say, hey, there might be some opportunity to the downside into 4,100, but the pre-market has already done it, right? I swung some IWM puts because of this, also with the belief that their small cap should see some weakness. So that was really the play, right? If you swung some shorts because you understood that this rejection was pretty tough, on the Russell, on the Nasdaq, on the ES, then you should be up nicely today. I'll probably take my profits pretty much near open. So my idea there was right here. I was hedging my TSM and AbbVie long positions with some Russell shorts, also understanding where the market is and where that rejection point is. So I threw those into the portfolio. Those should be up nicely today, and I'll probably start to look to take profits. But if we go back to the 4-hour chart, I'll give you a little bit more insight into why I would be careful shorting here. You can see right here, even on the 4-hour chart, this is a previous high here, right? This is a previous high here. This is a previous high here. And so, I would want to be patient here. This could very well be your break and retest long entry. That is exactly what I was looking at yesterday. So I am very much open to both sides here. I would be careful shorting this until you get a clear move that it's a clear insight that this thing's gonna break down under 4,100 and continue lower. Until then, right? Be careful shorting this move down in the pre-market because this is a potential retest long entry that I will definitely be paying attention to today. So watch out for that. Talked about that exact thing yesterday. I would say don't go short until you're under 40.90. That would be my opinion. This is Tuesday and Wednesday's highs right here. If you get back under Tuesday, Wednesday's highs right here, then I would say you probably have your short entry, right? If you start to see something like this set up, I would say short entry could be there, right? Under 40.90. Until that happens, I would be careful on the shorts. And then to the upside, if you are going to go long today, I would say you're going to have to trust this 4,100. That's the only way the risk reward makes sense, right? The only way the risk reward makes sense here is if you start to look for longs down around this 4,100. If you wait to go long when we're up at 4,180, 4,200, that doesn't make sense, right? So if you are going to look to go long, if you are going to trust this retest, you're going to have to start to see if this holds up. Maybe if you start to get some consolidation here around 4110, 4120, maybe there's a little long entry back into the 4150s. But, if you start trading back into the 4150s, right, if you start trading back into these lows here, and then you start to go long, risk reward just doesn't make sense, right? So a little bit of a tight range today. Clear levels, I would say 4,200, definitely don't want to go long into that. The next real strong long entry would have to be over 42 and a hold above, right? That's like your real strong entry. Or you could look to see if you could take advantage of this pullback and play this retest of 41, right? To the short side, I would say you want to be under 40.90, right? If you can get under 40.90, I think you have yourself that downside move. That's the ES. Hopefully that helps. NASDAQ is pretty much the same thing. So if we go to the 4-hour chart, we can see the NASDAQ, very clear supply, right? We all knew that was there. We talked about this all week last week. We said, can the NASDAQ reach that 12,800, 13,000 level? And that is exactly what it did, right? We have the previous support here, rejection here, consolidation, major rejection at 13,000, and we moved right back into it. And you can see the reaction to it on Thursday and Friday, right? No one should be surprised that the market moves lower off this level. It is very clear, and if you're just using technical levels, this is pretty much a perfect supply rejection. Supply rejection here, tried it again on Friday, absolutely perfect. I mean, just exactly what you want to see, to confirm those technical levels. So very nice there, right? Does it make sense to play long? If you start seeing the market ripping today, right, and then you're a little, in the back of your head, you're getting FOMO. You're like, oh my God, I missed the upside move. I'm going to go long here at 12.8. Yeah, no, right? No. If you go long at 12.8, you're asking for this to happen for you. So you got to watch out for this 12.8, 13,000. You do not go long in this zone until you break this zone, right? You have to see it move above this zone. You have to see a break, a hold above. Then you can maybe look for that long entry. But until then, right, it just doesn't make sense to trade long into this zone. Now, that doesn't mean there's not opportunity to play up into this area, right? There's some movement here that you could play, but it's one of those, it's one of those entries that you're going to have to be really careful on, right? Because you could see this reject at multiple points. You don't really have a clear runway here, but you could maybe see if there is some margin to the upside, possibly up into that 12,800, 13,000 again. But you have to be a profit taker, right? You can't hold it here and say, oh, I'm going to wait for the breakout, right? This would have to be your profit taking zone up here. To the downside, we're not quite at the retest on the NASDAQ. So you can see we did pull back to the retest on the ES, right around that 4,100. But we're not back there on the NASDAQ. So if we go to the ES, you can see we're back at those previous highs, back at that 4,100 zone. If we go to the NASDAQ, we are not quite there, right? We still have about 220 points down to that 12.3 area. So the NASDAQ sort of holding up in the middle of nowhere right now, and that is most likely due to the ES holding, right? The ES is giving it a little bit of strength. But at this point, the NASDAQ's just sort of holding in the middle of no man's land, right? There's really no structure here for the NASDAQ to be pushing higher off of. It's really just moving off that ES retest that's holding up. So the question is today, does the NASDAQ need to move back down to 12.3? Do we see some underperformance on the tech sector? And does the NASDAQ need to move back into the 12.3 retest? I don't really like long entries here on the NASDAQ or on tech until I get that retest move, right? I would feel much more confident looking for longs back in this zone than I would taking longs in the middle of no man's land on the NASDAQ. So a little bit interesting today, right? A little bit difficult on the NASDAQ because you're sort of just sitting here in the middle of this channel. You're right in the middle, right in the middle of this 12.8 and 12.3 area. I think you're going to have to sort of watch that ES. If that ES does maintain 41 and we do have a retest long entry, the NASDAQ will likely move with it. Or if that ES starts to break 41, then you're probably going to see this NASDAQ move back to 12.3 today. But yeah, a little bit of a difficult level here on the NASDAQ, right? Sort of right in the middle of this zone. I would really only feel confident on longs back in this green area, right? Back in this previous high and back at that retest zone. Yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say there. I say you could probably watch this 12.6 area, right? These previous lows here for rejections. I'd probably watch that. I'm going to keep that on my chart, actually. 12.6. You guys can see previous highs, previous lows, previous lows, previous lows, previous highs, right? 12.6 was definitely 12.6 was definitely an important level there. So, yeah, I'd watch 12.6. Maybe that's your potential rejection point if there is more downside. All right. Russell, or actually, let's go Dow. Dow Jones. Dow Jones still underperforming. Not much movement on the Dow here. I really don't have much to say about the Dow. I would just sort of watch the divergence. That's all I would do. I would just keep an eye on, okay, yes, if the NASDAQ's down, what's the Dow doing? That's really all I'd say. But right now, the Dow is just way too stuck in the middle of a channel to really get any type of insight. So 34.6. 32.7, right? You're just right in between it. I got nothing for you there. Russell pulling back to this little previous high. You guys can see we rejected that 2,000 area. Very nice. And you're holding this previous consolidation right here between Wednesday, Thursday. A little bit of a retest of that 1970 previous high right here. So today, if the Russell breaks this 1965 right here, right? You can see the lows of this consolidation. If you break the lows of this consolidation, I'd say you move back to that 1950 retest. But for now, you're holding this right here, right? You can see we have this previous consolidation that we are turning into support. So you can see it right there. So that's what I'd watch on the Russell. You can see right here, previous highs into support as of now. And so I would see what happens at this 1970 area on the Russell today. All right, so that's that. Tesla. Yep, Tesla, a little bit of outperformance today. I think that news of Elon getting that whole case being dropped, I think is going to help Tesla a little bit. I think that's why you saw an after hours move last week right here. So this move right here in the after hours around what is that? That's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern. You got that big push to the upside, and that is because of that case being dropped. So you got a little bit of volatility off that, a little bit of upside here. However, I would be cautious today. I do not plan to go long Tesla into this zone. I just can't do it, right? It just doesn't make sense. So for me, I would not be going long Tesla until it's over 200 today. It would be against everything that I look for. So you have previous lows here around 200, and then you have a double top rejection at 200. You'd have had a very nice move to the upside. I probably would be cautious on the short side because Tesla's obviously a very strong one. It can move against the market. I don't think I would be shorting Tesla unless something drastically changes, but I would personally not want to be going long into this double top rejection area. So you can see rejections here. You can see rejections here. Now, if we go over to where we're trading today, we are trading literally right at that level. So are you going to go long and expose yourself to this, right? Are you going to go long and expose yourself to a major supply rejection? No, right? You're not going to do that. There's no reason. So what I would wait for is I would wait for the break of 200. I would wait for a hold of 200. I would wait for this previous high here and this previous supply to turn into a new demand. And if that happens, then I would look for the long entry, right? But I will not be trying to hope and pray that Tesla breaks through this rejection point today. That just doesn't make sense. So we got to wait for that. We got to let the level decide. 195, 200, I would be very cautious on the longs in this area. If we can get above, then I would say look for that continuation above 200. But if we cannot get above, this could still be a nice little rejection point. My personal favorite long entry on Tesla is going to be right here at 180, right? I would love to see us get back to 180. If we can do maybe a little head and shoulder rejection here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, if we could have a little supply rejection on Tesla and move this thing back to the 180 retest, this would be my favorite long entry right here. I would love to attempt a long off this previous high, which we never retested. So we got the upside. I would love to see a supply rejection here at 195, 200. A pullback at this point would give longs a lot more margin, right? You would you would not be chasing this move. You would actually get it. You could actually take advantage of a pullback on the market and then look to see if you could go long off a retest, right? That's really what I would want to see personally. So I would say look for either a supply rejection of 195, 200, look for a move above 200, or look to see if you can get a retest back to 180. That's those are my three things to watch on Tesla. Amazon under 104, 105 area. This is very important. So here's a daily chart. You guys remember we talked about that previous daily quadruple bottom, whatever it was. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We just held this area for pretty much two to 3 months. We just continued to hold this low on Amazon around this 104, 105. We pushed higher, and then over here back in October, if we go to the 4-hour chart, look at what happened at that level, right? We turned that level into a major previous double top, right? That previous daily chart support that we talked about over here turned into a double top rejection, and that is where that downside came in from. Now, what did we do on earnings, right? We got above that area before earnings, right? We squeezed above before earnings, and then earnings came out, and we fell right back below it. So we are trading literally right back below that previous double top and also another double top from right here. So if Amazon is to stay below this 104, 105 zone, I think this could weaken, right? Because you are trading back below a double top. You are trading back below this double top. You're trading back below this double top. And you're trading back below this previous major demand that is now a supply zone, right? A previous support into a rejection point, previous double top in the short term, If you stay below 103, 104, right, I could totally see this being a very nice downside play off this rejection point. So I'm definitely going to watch that here. I like how we slipped under it. I like how we are trying. I would love to see us try to attempt back at it and then a rejection, which I think we've already done this morning, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little bit of a wick candle. It's a fake candle, actually. So we try. This is a little bit of a fake candle. That's why it's showing up there on the 30-minute. But pretty much, I would say, let's look to see, does Amazon stay below 104, 105? If it does, I think this could weaken. That's if the market does pull back. If not, then maybe Amazon can fight its way back above. But as of right now, I think it is very interesting to see how Amazon reacted here back below this previous major supply. So let's see what happens there, 104, 105 on Amazon. AMD 85. I think this is another pretty important level here. So if I go to the 4-hour chart, if we move this over, we can see 85 was a pretty major level in the past. We had previous highs here, previous support here, previous rejections around here at 85. So this 85 zone is pretty important. And if we zoom in, we can see, actually let's zoom in on the 4-hour here. You can see we started to stall around this 88, 87 area. And today, at least as of right now, we are trading back below 85. So if we go to the 30-minute chart, you can see we had some 85 rejections here Wednesday, Thursday. 85 rejection here. 85 rejection there. On Thursday, we did get through it. We did hold it as a support, and we attempted to push again. But as you guys know on the market, we couldn't get above that 4,200. So this rejection set in right around this 88, 89 level. Now you can see in the pre-market today, if we go to the 5-minute, look at what we're doing at 85 right now. So if we see AMD turn this 85 into a rejection again right here, right? If we see AMD turn 85 into a rejection here, I think you could definitely see some slippage, right? Let's see what 85 does. There's clear rejections now around this 86. You can see these previous lows. Now you have to watch out for the long side. So I wouldn't go long on AMD into this previous low at 86. There's just no really risk to reward there. I would look to see if 85 can turn into a rejection point. And if it can, I think AMD should be back at this retest, right? Back at 79. This is not a sustainable move, right? If the market, it's all dependent on the market, right? It's all dependent on the market. Does the market pull back? Is there a little bit of a cool off? If there is, right, this straight upside is not a sustainable move on AMD, right? On anything, on any kind of move on the market, you do not see straight up moves like this and then it never comes back. It never retests. It never tries to give you another opportunity for a little bit of a retest and then maybe another long entry. These types of moves are not sustainable. They are not. There's no support here. So if we do get that move where, the market does pull back, if we do get that 85 rejection here on AMD, I would say AMD could look for this retest back at 79. And then that would be maybe your next long entry back at this previous high right here, right? Now, is there opportunity to play to the downside here? Possibly, right? Possibly back to that 79. That's if we turn this 85 into a rejection. So definitely watching that today. Looking to see what AMD does at 85. Right now, it's just sitting right on it. So this could be an interesting one to watch today. There's a little rejection, actually, right, as I turn that off. So 85 AMD. NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, daily chart. You guys know we talked about this quite a bit. If we go to you guys can see here on the daily, this previous triple bottom, right? Previous low here, previous low here, previous low here. This is right around 212, 220. It's a little bit of a range, 5-point, 8-point range. It's a little bit of a range here where there was a previous triple bottom support. Now, NVIDIA has moved right back into that level. You can see over the last few weeks, we've moved up 55% on NVIDIA, right back into that previous triple bottom low. So, right, do you really want to continue to go long NVIDIA after a 55% move to the upside and as you trade into a huge daily chart previous triple bottom? maybe that's the right idea, but every trading technical analysis, thing that I do in my trading, every rule that I have in trading would be broken if I try to go long Nvidia today into a major previous triple bottom, right? It just doesn't make sense. So I will not be looking to play long Nvidia today into this level. It just simply just the risk to reward just doesn't make sense here, right? Because you're going to be trading, you're going to continue to try to scalp upside into a major previous triple bottom, into a clear supply rejection that's set in already. It just doesn't quite make sense to me. So I really won't be looking for longs here on Nvidia unless there is something that's extremely clear off this 206 level, which is showing now, but the risk to reward is just not quite there, right? You have like 5 points of upside until you hit this 212 again. So you can clearly see that supply rejection that stepped in. That's very obvious. A little bit of downside, a little bit of a gap down this morning. It is trying to hold this previous high right now. You can see right here, we're trying to hold that previous high. You're trying to bounce off of it here in the morning. I would say if Nvidia breaks below 206, then you have yourself a move, right? And I think that move could be a retest of maybe this 192 area, maybe 192 back at this previous demand right here. So I would say watch this 206. If we break this 206, let me get more time here. Right here. If we break this previous high, this 206 high, I would say maybe there's more downside here to be had. Right here, maybe something like this, right? Or, right, if you really want to trade the upside today, I would say you have to try to get Nvidia as close as you can to 206. See if a demand steps up here, and then maybe you can try to scalp that upside into 212 again, right? Maybe you can get something like this. Previous highs into support again. Support here, support here, support here. Maybe there is something to play as support off this 206 level, right? Back to the upside. But that is something you'll have to see if the market cooperates with, all right? Netflix, very interesting move on Netflix on Friday. So Friday, Netflix just squeezed like crazy back into like this 380 area. If I go to the 4-hour chart, you can see this thing squeezed. Actually, let me go 5 minute. Pretty much like, I don't know. I mean, right at open, this thing just squeezed off of like this 358 and just pushed right through this previous high 370 and just rocketed to 380. That was a wild upside move on Friday. If I go to the hourly chart, you can see what's interesting is that we fell right back under it. We gave up that entire move from Friday. We fell right back under this previous high of 370, and we are now trading below 370. So Netflix has been my kryptonite. I don't think I've had a profitable trade on Netflix all year. It just doesn't move with the market as I like, right? Some of these like Tesla, Nvidia, or Tesla a little bit, not much, but Nvidia, AMD, Apple, Google, Amazon, they typically will trade with the market. There's times where they won't. There's times where they'll underperform, outperform. But Netflix is like a total wild child when it comes to trading with the market. It really does not do anything with the market. At times it will, but at most of the time it will not. So I can't tell you how many times I've been stopped out of a Netflix put when the market is tanking and Netflix has been going up. It's happened so many times to me this year. So I'm at the point where I really don't love trading Netflix. I do like to watch it because it does offer some really nice moves. It does offer some large profit potential if you catch it right. So I do like to keep an eye on it. I like to sort of keep an eye and see if I want to wait for that day that it really follows the market. And at that point, I think I'll be able to nail it. But as of right now, Netflix outperformance clearly. Netflix shares have been great. I would say my Netflix shares are definitely outweigh my losses on the option contracts. Let me see. Where do I own Netflix at? So my my M1 account has turned green for anyone that's interested in that. This is now if you guys remember, my M1 account, this was down 20%, $10,000 at the end of 2022. 2 months, pretty much 1 month into 2023, and I have made over like 11 grand on my long-term portfolio, which is sick. I mean, it's absolutely sick. Yeah, Netflix, I own 14 shares at 307. So, I mean, I'm happy about that, right? That's great. Up $827. Look at my shot position there, up 1,752% on that. So, yeah, Netflix shares, obviously awesome, right? Obviously awesome. But the rejection here looks interesting. I would keep an eye on this. See what happens at 370 today, all right? Keep an eye on that 370. Meta. So you can't short Meta yet until it breaks 180, right? Keep that in your head. Do not short Meta until it breaks 180. I know a lot of people are salivating over this opportunity, right? I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on this. I would myself, because if Meta breaks 180, I think you will start to slip, right? I think there is opportunity. If Meta is to lose 180, there's probably some juice here in this straight upside move on earnings, right? That's very possible. I would assume that's a gap on the daily chart, right? Look, I mean, how could you not be salivating at this opportunity here? But, right, this thing's holding this previous high still. So, right, if we extend to the left, if we extend this to the left, right, this thing is still holding this previous high. And we can't go short here until it breaks it. So you can see we have a previous high, and yeah, you're still holding it. You're still maintaining, right? You're still maintaining. So until you lose this 180, I would say don't get aggressive on the shorts. Wait for that 180 to break. If that 180 breaks, then I think you got yourself some juice here, right? Then I think you got yourself some juice here. But until then, don't front run it, right? You're just going to get yourself pissed off. If you start getting in shorts here, Meta keeps bouncing off 183, right? You're just going to get pissed off. Just wait for the 180 to break. I think once that 180 breaks, if we start to see some aggressive price action, then I think you can get it. Until then, I would not go short Meta. I would even consider to see, if you want to look both ways, look to see if you could play longs off 183, right? It's happened multiple times already, right? Long here off 183, long here off 183, long here off 183. So I would say you could potentially look for longs off 183 and shorts under 180 on Meta. I would definitely keep an eye on this opportunity, though. All right. Last thing I got for you today, guys, is the dollar. This is a very important breakout on the dollar. This was where the dollar was trading since about the middle of January. We were trading in this channel between 102.60 and around 101.50, right? We did get a breakdown and then quickly reversed to the upside off some economic news. This is an important break on the dollar. If this dollar does continue, right, you might be able to, there might be some weakness that creeps in on the equity. So I would say watch this 103.50. See what happens at that 103.50 area on the dollar. That's your next rejection point to watch out for. But if this dollar does stay strong, right, it could cause some weakness on equities. If we do see the dollar pull back today, then maybe you get that retest hold on the ES and NASDAQ as well. So either way, a break of this dollar is important and definitely could, creep some weakness into this market. So pay attention to that. That is not a bullish thing that happens here in the dollar. So please pay attention to that. All right. Let me go and get into the live stream, into the stocks you guys want to look at today. If you guys could take just 1 second, all it takes is one click of your finger and press the like button. We got 1,500 people here. We got 300 likes. That's a terrible risk to reward. My risk to reward of doing these live streams is turning into, it's turning negative. If you guys could press that like button, that would be greatly appreciated. We're about to look at GS, Target, CAT, and Qualcomm. All right? Those are our stocks we're about to look at. So let's do that. GS. Yeah, nice little supply there. 375 triple top. I see what you're looking at there. Yeah. I see it. Yeah, I would watch it. Definitely. See if those banks lose some steam. Watch the XLF. If that XLF starts to lose it, yeah, that's pretty nice there on GS. Right? I would agree. If that XLF is above this high, so be careful for XLF continued strength. But if you see some weakness on the XLF, I could see that rejection. I still have it on my chart. So 375, yeah, I'd watch it. I like it. Target, yeah, Target either has a gap fill, either going to start this gap fill or you're going to triple top here on Target as well. So you can see right here above this 184, you have a huge gap fill potential on Target if the market stays strong. Or if we get some temporary downside in the market, you might be able to see a little bit of a pullback, right, off that triple top. So yeah, I'd watch the 184. Cat 240, 245. Oh, yeah. This is going to have to be something that, here's my concern on Cat for you. Here's the only thing I would be concerned about, and here's why I would want to be back at, I would rather be long at 240. I don't like the Dow recently for Caterpillar. The Dow has been sort of strange. It's been weak. It's been sideways. I'd want to see the Dow wake up a little bit before you long Cat on this retest. So that's what I would do. I would look to see if 240 can come in. I'd probably want a little bit more downside. And I'd also want to see the Dow do something, right? It needs to be poked. The Dow needs to be poked because the Dow has been stuck. So wait till that Dow moves because Caterpillar pretty much only moves with the Dow. Caterpillar is a huge Dow name. And, maybe it moves by itself sometimes, but I would want that Dow strength behind me if I'm going to take a Cat move. Qualcomm, yeah, you could look for that 125 break and retest. Yeah, if it holds up there, right? But that's another one that I'd say you got to watch the market, right? I would only take Qualcomm retest longs if the ES holds 4100, right? So you got to watch that market with it. If the ES and NASDAQ start breaking down today, then you're probably going to see Qualcomm pull back with it. So, yeah, but I would watch that 125, see how it holds up there. I like it. All right, guys. That's all I got for you today. If you could press the like button, if you could subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you did enjoy the live streams, a like goes a long way. It helps the channel tremendously. It helps just, get out to more people, keeps YouTube, makes YouTube happy with me. And if YouTube's happy, that means the algorithm likes me. So that's always a good thing. Press the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to trade live with me every day, it's down in the description below. If you want to get these technicals on a daily basis in a text format, you can see it down below as well. It says technical analysis, get my technical analysis. And that's about it. Have a great trading day. Trade off the levels. Don't trade off your emotions. Trade off the futures levels. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. If you can just wait, set up a game plan around technical levels, can't short until under 4,100, can't long until a nice break and hold above 42, right? Set up these guidelines for yourself and make sure to stick to them intraday. Even if it means you take less trades, which it probably does, it means that your trades are more structured, likely meaning to more profitability, likely meaning to smaller losses. Overall, things just start making sense, right? Whether it's, whether you take less trades, whether you're maybe still losing, but the losses are lighter. I'm telling you, find a way to trade around these technical levels on the futures. It helps a ton. You guys see guys like Carmine, that's all he does, right? Carmine, he only trades off his levels. If the level doesn't trigger, Carmine doesn't take a trade. We all know Carmine's a great trader, and if it works for him, it's going to work for you too. So once again, guys, have a great day. Ebo, thank you. Come on, guys, please press the button. It doesn't cost you anything. It cost Ebo something. It cost Ebo 10 euros just to get people to like the video. Thank you, Evo. I appreciate that. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.